My name is Yolanda Gutiérrez. I am the choreographer and the producer of this project, Urban Bodies Project Kigali. I was born in Mexico and I am living already for over 30 years in Germany. My path was a large journey to arrive in Hamburg, where I'm living today. But now I am here with you in Kigali at the Kandt House to talk about colonialism, together with the Rwandese dancers Celine, Mugisha, and Babou, and also with the Rwandese artists Dolph, Banza, and Chris Schwagga. Together we will reflect about the impact and the traces German colonizers left behind. But more important, we would talk about how we can decolonize colonial sites like this one. Decolonizing means to change the perspective of how history has been written. We are here now to remember, to bring a voice to those who are living now here, who are following new paths. History has been passed by generations through oral tradition, but also through dance, arts, and language. Not written history is still existing in our bodies and it's passing by through generations. Let us think that history can be seen like a circle, moving around, returning, and going back and forward, like waves in the ocean. When we stand here now in front of this house of Richard Kandt, often we are reading in many texts that this is the first modern house built in Kigali. But what does that mean to be the first modern house? Because if we reflect about it, modernity started with colonialism. That means that with the arrival of the Spanish people in the Americas, people started to write about modernity, and it seems like if what happened before was not modern enough. So who is deciding what is modern and what is not? So in this aspect, I am very intrigued about the question of how was back in the times the definition of housing in Rwanda. And I would like to hear from you guys, like, what is the knowledge you have or what do you think about it?
Inzu kuri njyewe numva ko ari ahantu ho kuruhukira. Inzu ni ahantu ho kugamira iyo imvura iri kugwa. Ni ahantu ho kwirukira iyo habaye nk'intambara. Ifite akamaro mu gihe cy'ubukonje cyaba ari n'igihe cy'ubushuhe. Ni ahantu ha secret, ni ahantu ha private.
For me, a house is a place of rest. It's a shelter. You spend your day outside running errands and hustling, and you come back to your place of peace. It's a refuge.
And then going to the second question, what do you know how people built their houses before the Germans arrived to Kigali? For me, I know that the structure of our old houses here in Rwanda, because we used to build huts, and huts are in a circular shape. In our way of life and our way of thinking, a circle is a feminine principle. It's something that brings together people, and it just creates an equal basis for everyone who is inhabiting in that space.
Hari ibintu byinshi twagiye twunguka mu gihe cya kera n'ubu ngubu. Urugero, kera twubakishaga ibyatsi, kuko kera bakoreshaga ibyatsi n'amahema n'ibintu byose. Hari ibyo twagiye duhomba, hari n'ibyo twungutse, kuko kera twari dufite abaturanyi, kandi abaturanyi be bameze nk'inshuti. Ariko ubu ngubu nimba ngize icyo nigezaho nkubaka inzu nziza, wa mugenzi wanjye arababara. Ariko kera kuko twese twubakaga ibintu bimwe, ntawagiraga nyine ishyari undi mugenzi we cyangwa ibyo yungutse cyangwa iki. Urumva nyine hari byinshi twagiye duhomba. Kuko ubu ngubu ngomba kwishyura umuriro, kera ntabwo nishyuraga umuriro. Ngomba kwishyura amazi, kera ntabwo nayishyuraga, kandi iyo nayishyuye barayafunga. Urumva nyine ni risque z'ibintu bigenda bitandukanye. Buri uko nyine tugenda tujya ku iterambere niko n'ubuzima nabwo bugenda bukomeza bukomera.
Why the construction of this house meant the destruction of our houses? Why building one to destruct the other? This was the beginning of the end for both our way of being, our way of thinking, and our way of seeing things.
Badutwaye urukundo, badutwara ibyishimo, ni nkaho badusinzirije kugira ngo bakora ibindi bintu, kandi ibyo bintu bakoze byagiye byangiriza ibintu byinshi kugeza na n'ubu ntabwo biteze kuzahinduka tudafashe umwanzuro wo kubihindura.
For pre-colonial Rwandans, the house is a space where you rest with family after a long day of labor. The home compound is circular. It will be made of the main house, surrounded by several houses, which would serve different domestic purposes. Each house in the compound is fenced, and the different circular fences intersect to form a complex and beautiful geometry, which allowed efficient circulation of people and goods from one house to another. Inside the house, the partition is minimal and conducive for family cohesion. There is no door at the entrance of the house, and this tells a lot about the general spirit back then. It was a different paradigm. Spirituality and architecture are fused in pre-colonial Rwanda. Mostly circles and curves are used. Circles are considered feminine energetically, and straight lines are considered masculine. I see a lot of femininity in different forms of Rwandan arts, like music and dance. Also in different crafts, where you have different objects designed with curves and circles, from shapes to ornaments. Houses are aligned to face the sunrise back then. Today, they face the streets. This tells a lot about our priorities today. Present alignment is more materialistic than cosmic. Kandt's house was a space of authority, the space where guns are stored. The house with sharp corners made of hard materials, less friendly with nature. The representation of Western brutality, domination over ancient Africa. Now, this house has been kept not to play the same role, but to be an educational, historical site. We must not sacralize nor glorify Kandt, because after all, he was just another supremacist who thought he could civilize us by radically changing our way of life. We did not ask for it.
My name is Celine. Nkaba ndi umukobwa w'umunyarwandakazi, nkaba ndi artiste mu bijyanye na danse n'ubugeni bugiye butandukanye. Nkaba ndimo ndakora muri projet ya urban body na international choreographer Yolanda, Gutiérrez. Nkaba mbyina imbyino zitandukanye, contemporary, modern, traditional n'izindi zigenda ziyongera. Imbyino ya Kinyarwanda ni imbyino igaragaza umuco wa Kinyarwanda mu buryo bwo gukoresha amaboko no mu mbyino n'inseko, cyane cyane ku bivugo by'inka. Iyo dukoresha amaboko tuyazamura aba ari ikimenyetso cy'amahembe y'inka. Yego, nkaba nkunda kubyina cyane kuko danse ni freedom yanjye. Nyungukiramo ibintu byinshi, cyane cyane ko ariko kazi kantunze mu buzima busanzwe. Nkagenda mpura n'abantu batandukanye, nkagenda mfata experience. Aho ngeze ubu ngubu ni ukuvuga ngo ngira amahirwe yo kujya gutoza mu bindi bihugu bitandukanye. Danse ni ikintu gikomeye cyane, nka gutyo uba ufite umuryango ugusapotinga, aba ari ikintu gikomeye cyane.
Uzazure u Rwanda rw'Abanyarwanda n'ukuri kw'Imana mwe. Zunguru y'amarembo shenge ruragerwa. Uzazure u Rwanda rw'Abanyarwanda n'ukuri kw'Imana mwe. Ruragerwa abahungu, ruragerwa abakobwa we. Uzazure u Rwanda rw'Abanyarwanda n'ukuri kw'Imana we.
name is Mugisha Frank. I am a multidisciplinary artist, a dancer, a poet, a filmmaker, a recording artist, and I'm based in Kigali and in Kampala, and I also tour internationally. And I'm also a creative facilitator, and I work with Soul Expressions, an organization based in Uganda. So masculinity, in my way of understanding it, it's another energy that's not the feminine energy, because I believe human beings are made up of both. So I understand it that way, but in our world and the society we live in, there are roles that have been set out for the different genders, and men are expected to provide, they're expected to protect their families, so they're expected to go out there and hunt so that their families are well at home. So that's the basic role in the community of a masculine person.
Hello, my name is Albert Juma. My artist name is Babou. I'm a musician, actor, dancer. I'm based in Hamburg. As a dancer in my country or in Germany, it's not easy. Everything you have to work hard every day and focus. If you don't do it, you will never earn nothing. You have to work, you have to think about family, and being a dancer, being a dad is not something easy. We struggle a lot. You have to focus for the kids. We don't have much, but we get it. Dancing for me is something really like a therapy. Since I started to dance, a lot of things change in my mind because I was really depressed about everything in my past. But when I started to dance was really helpful. When I dance, it's like I forget all the painful, all the sadness, all the anger, and I just dance. And it's helped me to refresh my mind. So for me, dance is like it's therapy and is.
If we talk about colonialism, we need to talk about the people who suffered of it and were killed and taken away from their homeland, but also animals and plants that were taken away from here to put them in display in the European museums. Elephants, birds, lions, gorillas, and more.
Hey, C-Styles. Let them know you, bro.
There is no good colonialism. Richard Kandt is not known in Germany, in fact, until 2016, as in the Prussian Cultural Heritage Foundation, called in German Stiftung Preußische Kulturbesitz, they found 1,000 skulls, more than 1,000 skulls, coming from Rwanda. Talking about human remains, we have to say he was also killing, and he was also bringing all these skulls to Germany, not only him. So this is some information which even for the Rwandans are new. So what to do with this information? What does this information do with us or with the Rwandans? I mean, I am coming from Mexico, and I am also being colonized by the Spanish people. I'm living in Germany, but still, I think this impact of trauma and healing over generations, just with the time, can be healed or can be repaired in a way. But it's very necessary to talk and to know and to have the knowledge about it.
My name is Chris Schwagga. I am known as Chris Schwagga. I'm an artist. For this piece, I'm doing both costume and set design. I only heard about the 1,000 skulls a couple of days ago, and I was shocked, just like you probably are now as well. But at the same time, it has been part of a pattern. Under the excuse of science, it has been done before. This way of dehumanizing us, exporting our skulls, bodies, for the purpose of science, the excuse of science. It's shocking. It's not the first time. Rwanda wasn't the first. but it's the first time I hear about this.
My name is Dolph Banza. I am a visual artist with special interest in geometry applied by pre-colonial African societies. In this project, I am working on a visual that will capture the interaction Richard Kandt had with Rwanda and how it all came to be and how it transformed our society. The image of Richard Kandt and German colonization in general is very positive in the today's collective Rwandan consciousness. We like to compare the Germans and the Belgians, and we like to rank Germans as the good guys. The little we know is that there's no better colonizer, and particularly if we talk about Richard Kandt, who was a scientific explorer, the narrative, what he says in his book, which was written for the European audience, is very, very nasty when you look at it from a Rwandan perspective. He's arrogant, he was threatening, he killed, he took human remains. So this project is a very, very interesting one because it is questioning, it is putting back the question at the table. Very, very interesting to me.
Nashatse kubikora neza cyane, nandukanye n'umuryango wanjye, ase mbwira mbese niki wasanze, mbwira mbese niki cyagukanze, ase mere wari ase mere nabaye indorerwamo wireba ukanyibonamo, nukagirira ubwoba ubuzima bizanacamo, inzira zizitane nyinshi nagiye nyuramo, kubabara wibuke nibyo bingira umugabo, impinduka nabonye nizo zandinze umugayo, aho twabonaga bigoye gufata ubukaro, nsaba kwandika ibitabo, nkahumuriza abari mu bitaro, kuko ndi mira ya bose, abana bakuru n'abandi ni bose, bahora bikatira amakorosi, fokasinga kuzoze nge na rose, abanyibonamo ndi bose, nasyagurinze, abambonaga bose babipinze, abanyisimbwa ntibakiba mu murwa, bitch I'm a man. Nashatse kubikora neza cyane, nandukanye n'umuryango wanjye, ase mbwira mbese niki wasanze, mbwira mbese niki cyagukanze, ase mere wari ase mere ase nindo nyibonamo, naze tugende adufatirane izuba nirirenge, ufite ubwoba nawe abanze asenge, ugire wibuke nusige n'ibiswende, nyitangira kubyina barahigima. sinabimenya ko bafite n'imijinya Imana nigena karezi nabimenya arakwira imishwaro bimutere ikimwaro miriwari y'Kigali ndahiga inoti nago ndyama nshaka imari nufate nabi nje ndi tayari iyo ubimenye wari gutigita imari isaha nimwe kandi izagera na bamwe bagufataga nyingegera baza gusingiza baza kuragiza waba uri mu makosa baza kuvugira.
Dear ancestor, dear distant star, dear child arriving after my departure, take my offerings. Let me buy my freedom out of the guilt. Let me not pay for my sins. Please turn a blind eye. Let me roam freely in the spirit world, from where I'll be watching you play as opposed to reliving my traumas. No heavy hearts from heavy parts of my grandmother's past. Please forgive me for forgetting. You see, these days remember every last coin in the bank, but forget the lessons coined in experience. We repeat and we recycle. We vomit and we swallow. We never learn. It makes me cry. This is an ode, my people. This is an attempt to fill the void, my people. Can't you see the light? Can't you feel the bitterness in the blood-soaked paper cash economy that has enslaved our souls, that has masterminded our amnesia? My people, who have we become? What have we allowed? What happened to the old dwellers that plead to the ancestors? What happened to the stargazers, dream interpreters, the ones who find cues in corner rooms of their minds, channelers of ancestral wisdom, the ones that guide the masses that are losing their asses, that are losing themselves, shining bathroom floors for a drink and a breadcrumb? Damn, this erasure.
Styles. Let them know you, bro. bro.
So imagine we are up in the hill, Kigali, in the 14th century. The name of the city was already given. There were no Germans, no Kandt House. So if we go back in the time, and if we can use our imagination, and if we are allowed now to go and dive also in the archives, what do you think? How can we reflect, rethink, and rewrite this part of history? The time, the colonial time, the time as the Germans arrived in this country.
As a visual artist, I look back to history through the lens of crafts making, and I use imagination to imagine what kind of civilization could come up with such intricate designs. And yet, when I look at today, I find a very different path. My friends Chris like to say that our civilization was interrupted, and I like to say that the organic path in which we were on was totally transformed. Reflecting back on history through colonization and people like Richard Kandt is a very interesting way of reflecting on who we are. I would encourage anyone else to do the same.
Like my friend said, as both artist and visual artist, when I think about that picture, when I close my eyes, I can't help myself but see the peacefulness and tranquility of that place before the storm came. I can see a sunset with birds singing in the background. Kigali was already there. And just like Banza said, we didn't ask for this.
Personally, as a dancer and as a movement artist, I know of the body's ability to retain stories, to store trauma, and I can imagine how traumatic the experience of colonialism was to my ancestors, and I can imagine also that sometimes that passes down through generations, because personally this empowers me. Then I know that there are things I can do in my lifetime that can end this trauma, and so I don't pass it on to the next generation.
mu gihe mbonye iriya nzu none ubu ngubu iyo nyigezeho, iyo utekereje ibyabaye nk'ibyo ubona mu mateka n'ibyo batubwira, birababaje cyane, kandi ari byinshi twebwe tutaba tutazi nk'aba artiste turi kugenda tubyiga, ariko ese nk'abana bacu twabyaye cyangwa n'abari kuvuka ubu ngubu cyangwa n'abarumuna bacu, ari abantu benshi batazi amateka y'uwo muntu waje aturuka mu Budage akaba yaraje hano mu Rwanda, akaba ari byinshi yahinduye, byinshi yangirije. Tubyize twese byadufasha cyane kumenya aho tujya n'aho twaturutse, na generasiyo izaza atazagira n'ikindi kintu kiteze kuzagaruka ku buryo cyahindura inzira cyangwa fitire y'abana bacu tuzabyara cyangwa abana b'abana bacu.
Ibyabaye byarabaye kandi n'inkovu ntabwo zizasibangana, ahubwo twebwe icyo twakora n'iki nko muri sosiyete cyangwa se n'abazadukomokaho cyangwa se twebwe tuba twagize amahirwe yo kumenya ubwo bumenyi. Ibyabaye byarabaye kandi the future is now.